best example of the insanity or derangement of this administration, and you do need to hear it, is the speech that Obama gave after Orlando calling for love. Not calling for war against ISIS and crushing them wherever they can be found, but love. He actually gave a Beatles speech. All we need is love, but it got worse. The new watchword from this deranged administration is love. So in his footsteps, there comes Al Sharpton Lynch in a speech that will have to go down in history as one of the most deranged, disconnected in political history. Listen to this soundbite about how to fight ISIS. Listen.
The message of Orlando goes far beyond one night of unspeakable terror. The message of Orlando that I have seen today and what the American people have seen is a message of determination to remove hatred and intolerance from our midst, to live our lives freely and without fear, and to stay true to the principles of liberty, justice, and equality that define America at our best. We stand with you to say that the good in this world far outweighs the evil, that our common humanity transcends our differences, and that our most effective response to terror and to hatred is compassion, it's unity, and it's love.
I'm speechless, and I'm in the business of speaking. This woman has weaponized stupidity. Loretta Lynch has weaponized stupidity and absurdity. There's almost no words to describe how incompetent she is. If she actually doesn't believe what she just said, she could hardly read the words written for her by someone more foolish than you could imagine. So let's try to put this in context for those of you who believe Loretta Lynch is qualified to be Attorney General as much as Jay Johnson is qualified to be Department of Homeland Security's chief, as much as Obama was ever qualified to be president, because they're all connected. They were all appointed by him. He appointed those two people. She made a laughable statement that we should fight terror with love. So let's see. We go to the battlefield where we have our heroes on the battlefield, and we tell them not to shoot the enemy, but to put a flower in the edge of the end of their M4s, put a flower in their barrel, and go out and kiss an ISIS killer on the lips. What in the world do you think this will lead to? Do I have to put it in context for you? Do you realize if our troops in World War II had a Loretta Lynch or an Obama in power, they never could have gone to war and defeated Hitler's Germany? Do you know how severe that war was? Nah, what's the point of talking to you? Do you know what it's like to face an enemy in a schoolyard? Do you know what it's like to even face a schoolyard bully who wants to punch you in the nose, let alone somebody who wants to cut your throat and rape your wife and burn your village down? So, I mean, I could go on this all day long, and it's not going to make any difference because I wrote this when I was 18, and I think it still holds true. Those who know will always know. Those who don't will never. Now, we have a clear choice for national security. Someone who will fight ISIS and destroy them in their homeland and stop them from coming in and use terriers to root out the rats that are here already, or someone as deranged as Clinton who will bring in more and express love for our worst enemies as though that's going to stop them from killing us. Rich on KSFO, you disagree? You think love will work?
Yes. Same thing that works in our family, in business, in government. In your family, in any business.
Stop with my family. My family are not radical Islamist killers who have been trained from childhood to kill in the name of their religion. What world are you living in?
I'm living in a world where human beings respond to hate and love differently.
Are you telling me that radical Islamists have responded to love in the history of the world?
Absolutely, they have. For gosh,
where? Wait, excuse me, sir. Where? Give me an example.
In the United States, everywhere that they exist, there are hundreds of millions of Islamists all around us, Mike. The reason why they're not...
Wait, sir. Now, you said in the United States there are hundreds of millions of Islamics around us?
Absolutely. There's more than 2 billion in this world, Mike. You can't bomb them back in...
Well, first of all, there's 1 billion Muslims, not 2 billion. And not all Muslims are Islamists. That we know from the guest I had on the show yesterday. Why is it that she wants to reform Islam? Does she believe love will reform them, or reforming Islam will reform them?
Everybody understands that basic tenet. hate works for you because you make money.
Can I ask you a question? You're expressing stupidity and hatred at the same time while pretending you're not. Do you know anything about history, or are you just spouting philosophy that is foolish?
I absolutely know a little bit about history. Sure.
All right, you know a little bit about history. Tell me how Nazi Germany, which was a hateful ideology of Nazism, how were the Nazis defeated?
Through the love of other countries expressed.
Nazism was defeated through love? Is that your idea of history? What college did you go to? The College of Dumbos?
If you didn't.
How was Nazi Germany defeated? Was Nazi Germany defeated through love or through bombs?
Being expressed by.
If I'm asking, look, let's stop. Look, stop wasting my time. How was Nazi Germany? And I use it as an example because the Islamist ideology is identical in many ways to Nazi philosophy. Okay, how were the Nazis, these ideologically madmen who hated Jews, who hated gays, who hated Americans, how were they defeated? Through love or through bombs?
They were a country unlike ISIS. They were a country.
Oh, ISIS has no country? Have you heard about their homeland and their national capital in Mosul? You didn't read that in your history lessons?
That is a fiction. ISIS is a fictional country. It isn't a country at all. It's just a group of.
Why don't you tell that to them? They call themselves the Islamic State. Tell them that. Why don't you find some ISIS members in America and go up to them and tell them that it's fiction, that there's an Islamic State? What do you think they would do? Treat you with love?
Eventually, what's going to happen to that?
Sir, what about those images of them cutting the heads of people or putting people in cages and burying them alive or setting them on fire? Is that their idea of love?
No, that's their idea of manipulating you. You are easily manipulated because if I show you something shiny.
Goodbye. I mean, this is stupid. This is a deranged, sick man. But I'm afraid there's tens of millions of deranged, sick people who think that you can fight hatred with love. That's something that works in a church. That's something that works in a schoolyard, in a schoolroom. But Loretta Lynch is not in a church or a schoolroom. She is the top police officer in America, and she has a job, which is to crack down on the Islamic murderers in this country and bring them to justice, not to express love for them. It's total insanity. And it's, by the way, a form of hatred for reality.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now.
Norfolk, Virginia. Welcome to the Savage Nation. David, go ahead, please.
How you doing, Mike? Oh, man, I've been calling for years trying to get through to you. Whew.
Well, you're on the air now. You're wasting a lot of time. Say what's on your mind.
What do you think is involved in the kind of information, put a bomb in the center of Times Square? What do you think would physically be involved in stopping something like that? A U.S. citizen. How can you stop that? You cannot.
Oh, I just told you that he really is a false U.S. citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen. He lied to get his green card. So if we had it, let's start with what I just said and work our way backwards, if you don't mind. Do you agree with me? He lied to get his green card?
Citizen. Even if you assume he's not a U.S. citizen.
Did you hear what I just said to you? If you're not going to hear me, then we may as well not have this conversation. He lied to get his green card. Therefore, his citizenship could be revoked immediately, and his Miranda rights could be pulled, and he could be grilled as though he's an enemy combatant. Wouldn't that help us a little bit?
No, that would not help us a little bit. What if they started pulling anybody's U.S. citizenship? What if they?
Is there something wrong with you that you can't even follow a logical discussion? We're not talking about anybody. We're talking about this Pakistani who lied to come into the country, who lied to get his green card, who is being protected because he's allegedly a U.S. citizen. But we now know he shouldn't be a U.S. citizen. He lied to get his citizenship. Therefore, it could be pulled if we had a proactive government, and he could have his Miranda rights pulled, and he could be grilled by the CIA or whatever other agency grills enemy combatants. He could even be sent to Guantanamo and be treated like an enemy combatant instead of be given 6 halal meals over there in New York, wherever they're keeping him.
Let me finish my thought here. I've been waiting for years. You have the radio long after I'm gone.
All right, look, let's not play victim. You haven't made a cogent point yet. What is your major point?
I haven't made a point. I don't care if he's an illegal. It doesn't matter. If he's an illegal and he comes over here to blow something up, you cannot stop him. It doesn't matter.
You cannot stop. What are you, out of your mind? The guy was on a no-fly list and he got into the country.
Grilling him means you caught him. He's already done it. You have not prevented the act.
Well, let's go backwards in time. He had gone to Pakistan after he got his fake green card. He trained there for 4 months, and he was screened secondarily on his return to the United States. Why did Homeland Security screen him that time? Did they screen him because they're racist?
No, I don't. I'm not playing a racist card. I don't think you're racist.
I said, did Homeland Security screen him that time because they were racist? Of course not. They screened him because they had reason to believe he may have trained in a training camp. Could they not have stopped him at that point and arrested him? Why didn't they? They had reasonable doubt about the guy. They knew he disappeared, went to Pakistan, trained in Waziristan, and was coming back, so they figured the guy was in a training camp. Wouldn't it be prudent to have stopped him from coming back to America then?
So if an American, like a white, full-blooded American, were to go out and do the exact same thing and, actually pull it off. He pulled it off. He blew up Times Square.
There is something wrong with your brain. Obviously, you can't think because you're not following even a simple thought. And it's Americans like you who have given us President Obama, isn't it? You voted for him, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I'm a libertarian.
Come on, a libertarian. That's so old. That's so yesterday. A libertarian's like an RCA Victor Victrola. A libertarian is a liberal with a Unitarian background. Take a walk, get off my show. You take my IQ and you trash it. I didn't spend all these years of education and millions of years of evolution to swim in a cesspool of stupidity like this. I can't take it anymore. That's how Obama runs the country, because of schmucks like him. What if an old American went there? First of all, the guy was a Pakistani. Why do you think they're looking at Pakistanis? Because it's a nation filled with haters. Hello, America. Why are they all coming from either Pakistan or one of those other countries?